You know, it seems to me, outside of just the debates and all this, even if you were on the debate stage, this message, which I find, even as a more liberal-leaning journalist, to be reasonable, isn't resonating. I mean, Jeb Bush has said a lot of the similar things to you. He's in the low single digits. Why is it that a reasonable conservative message of smaller government, but also inclusiveness, has kind of fallen on deaf ears?
Well, I think that each candidate has his own challenges, and I think Jeb Bush has his own challenges as trying to be the third president in a dynastic family. I think that Americans are probably not all that comfortable with that, and therefore his message may be suffocated by the fact that the family is trying to dominate too much. But I believe that I can make that case with credibility, because that's the way that my track record is, and I've led. And I'm confident that if we continue to talk about this, we can bring the Republican Party into the 21st century and allow it to lead into the 21st century. I can tell you this, the Democrats can't. They can't. They are now becoming an open and obvious socialist party in the United States. And I want to just tell you that I don't know what any of your listeners think, but I know what I think, and that is that socialism can't work. It disregards the human desire to advance, to have the chance to own things, to have the chance to create wealth and entrepreneurship and hiring people and excitement. That's what the American character is, and it's completely contrary to socialism.
When you take away the word socialism, if you go issue by issue in the polls, I mean, a growing majority of Americans agree taxes should go up on wealthy people, free public college tuition. So I think the word's been a little, become a boogie word, but, a lot of these policies, a growing number are supporting. So why can't it work if it works in a lot of other countries?
Because people are uninformed. I think to suggest that we're going to solve all of our problems by class warfare is just warmed over neo-Marxism, and it's just baloney. It's just
you don't buy the argument that there's been class warfare with redistribution to the top and tax policy and deregulation. I mean, somebody's paying for those tax cuts to the wealthy.
That's right. I don't buy that. What we need to do instead is to take people who have acquired wealth because of their success and make sure they use that wealth. People who have wealth don't have to reinvest it in America. We need to incentivize people to create jobs, make investments in capital, create a growing economy with better wages and more opportunities, and particularly for your listeners. The truth is that 47% of the people graduating from college today with bachelor's degrees do not have a fair chance to start a career because we have a stagnant economy. And these policies you're talking about are making it a stagnant economy. Wages are not going up. Opportunities are not there. Older workers are fearful for their jobs. Younger people are not getting career starts the way that they want to. And Jim Gilmore is going to change that. But we're going to do it by exercising the free market system. I never thought when I was an intelligence agent in West Germany, looking right at the Russians, that I would at some point in my own country be fighting socialism. This is crazy.
Pushing back a little bit, if you look at the chart since 1980, which Ronald Reagan came into office, wages have stayed stagnant while productivity has skyrocketed, and the concentration of wealth has skyrocketed for top 1%. Conservatives don't like that term, top 1%, but the data is the data. Free market principles have concentrated wealth in fewer and fewer hands. And it seems like that's kind of what you're suggesting we continue.
What I'm suggesting is that people who are successful being able to be successful and more people being able to be successful. But to try to level this thing out in that way is just going to get you what you've got right now. By the way, you're not right about productivity.
I'm not?
No, you're not. Investments are not being made in productivity in this country. In fact, we have passed laws to prevent money from being reinvested back into productivity.
I was saying productivity has increased over the last 40 years while wages have stayed stagnant.
Yeah, productivity has increased, but not in recent years. In recent years, we have done things to stop productivity, to stop investment in this country, and it's got to be restarted again. Over the last 40 years, sure, as we've seen some conservative principles following Ronald Reagan be implemented, we saw productivity go up for a while. But after the Great Recession, the more socialistic type of approaches have kicked in and started to really impede the growth of this economy in this country. We need a policy that will actually be dedicated to the growth and excitement and opportunity within this country. That's the only way you're going to get young people employed, careers started, and really wages going up. Let me tell you something. It's absolutely true. If you have too many people chasing too few jobs, wages stagnate. or even go down. If, on the other hand, you create an opportunity where you have just, you have it the other way around, where you have people trying, jobs trying to find people to work for them, then the wages go up in order to attract more people.
Just so I'm clear, what's the Gilmore economic plan? Is it tax cuts? Is it deregulation? I just want to make sure we know what your economic agenda would be.
Number one, we have to repeal the bad laws that have been put into place in the last 8 years, which are stopping investment and growth in this country. And
which laws?
Well, for example, they've increased taxes on capital gains. Right, that makes sure you don't get capital gains. Right, they've extended the period of time that an entrepreneur can recapture his investment. That means you're going to get less investment in equipment. So these are the things that have been deliberately and quietly put into place to make sure that we don't have a growing economy. Regulations are a serious problem. Dodd-Frank is keeping community banks from lending. The Environmental Protection Agency has become almost a complete government control regulator of business in this country. Nobody wants dirty water or dirty air. But at this point, we have a completely controlled managerial society that's telling everybody what to do. And finally, you put together an actual pro-growth policy, tax reform policy that says we reform our personal tax code to 10, 15, and 25%. We combine all commercial activities, large and small, and charge it 15%. You eliminate the death tax so that people can pass their businesses down to their children, which gives them some incentive to create them in the first place. You bring back investment from overseas without additional tax after tax has been paid overseas, and now you all of a sudden have more capital to go back into our economy and to grow our companies and create wealth. This is the direction that the country has to go. If you apply socialistic principles, we are on the downslide. It didn't work in Russia, and it won't work in the United States of America. In fact, it won't work anywhere. And that's why Bernie Sanders has to be defeated. For that matter, so does Hillary Clinton.
You mentioned gun control.
Yes.
I won't speak for Cenk, but one of the things that appealed to me about the Young Turks was after the San Bernardino shooting, he went on a little rant.
Fuck the NRA! How dare you, man! They're killing our kids. They're killing our citizens. What are you doing? Oh, Ted Cruz takes money from the NRA. Joe Manchin takes money from the NRA. These guys, oh, no, we can't do anything. Look at how corrupt our politics is. Over 80% of NRA members say, for God's sake, do a federal background check. Of NRA members, okay? Let alone over 90% of the country. But we don't have a democracy. We have politicians who are systemically corrupt. You want to, no, Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia. What part of this is a well-regulated militia? This is not a fucking well-regulated militia. This is just mass shooting after mass shooting. That's what this is.
But I think the issues become very black and white, where if Democrats want to make any changes, it's trying to take away people's guns, take away people's rights. Republicans are viewed by Democrats as extremists who don't care about death, mass killings and this and that. But from a constitutional point of view, the Second Amendment talked about a well-regulated militia. So why is it that a mother in Newtown, Connecticut should have 2 or 3, AR-15s or whatever? Why is it that normal citizens need those types of guns if the pattern is in all these mass killings? You have, military-style weapons, or however you want to phrase it. It seems to me that conservatives are concerned about life. Abortion and all that. But it seems to me they're more worried about that amendment, which is a lot broader than they make it seem, versus 20 school children getting killed down.
Let me try to say this the best way that I can. First of all, let's take it in terms of actual danger here. The grandma or single mother in some place, I don't care what kind of firearm she's got, as long as she doesn't knock over a convenience store with it or shoot somebody with it. I don't care.
Well, if her child steals it, like in Columbine in Newtown.
Well, the fact is that we have to have gun owners be responsible. But you're going exactly where I think the president is trying to go and where the left is trying to go. If you're going to eliminate all threat out of the society, or some fictional idea that some gun is going to be stolen by somebody or something like that, there is only one answer to that, isn't there?
What's up, fictional? Guns have been stolen.
My turn. My turn is that at that point, you have to recognize that kind of thing is not going to solve the problem, any more than people in Jerusalem are being attacked with kitchen knives, or the bomber in Boston, it was a pot bomb, or there was a firearm used someplace else. The background checks are not solving these kinds of problems. Instead, we have to do things that we actually have to depend upon people to be responsible citizens in the society and enforce the criminal law if they're not. Otherwise, we have to go the direction that you and the president are suggesting, and that is simply remove all rights from people, then you don't have any threat anymore. Now, I want to come back to that point. This is the main point for me and why I'm on the board of the National Rifle Association. We live in a society today in which the left is trying to say that Americans must be controlled. They must be disempowered. The Second Amendment is about the empowerment of individual people and the trust of people to own firearms and to be empowered in a free society. That is what matters here. More and more we're trying to take the rights away from the individual and to say that they can't be trusted. I think it's absolutely imperative that we understand that Americans do have the right to be empowered. As a matter of fact, their government doesn't have the right to take that away from them in the first place. So this is the difference in philosophy here between these things.
You mentioned people need to be empowered, people need to be trusted. Haven't people kind of lost that benefit if you see mass shooting after mass shooting?
Well,
you had mentioned we need to trust society.
No, we have, Americans have firearms. I mean, I have them myself. And, the question is, am I a free citizen that has the right to be empowered to do that? Do we go back to the original idea of what America really is, and that is the empowerment of the individual in society? It isn't just firearms. More and more and more, the individual is being subjected to the power of the state. The Second Amendment maybe is that last bastion where we finally say once and for all, no, citizens are people, and they have the right to be empowered as individual citizens. And I think that if the left can take that away, they can finally once and for all make the philosophical point that citizens really aren't to be trusted, aren't to be liberated, aren't to be empowered. And I'm just not going to stand for that. And that is exactly what's going on. The president's trying to change the culture of the nation to remove firearms the way that they have in Australia and the United Kingdom, and I'm not standing for it.
Where can people find out more about Jim Gilmore?
Thank you. It's my webpage is gilmoreforamerica.com, and that's got all of the position papers and all of our activities and the recent things that we're doing, gilmoreforamerica.com, and I hope your viewers will go on and look at it.
Thanks a lot.